So tell me your name, where you're from, and your background.
My name is Cathy Lee-Miller, and I am a second-year pediatric hematology oncology fellow at the Children's Hospital of Colorado. And I'm originally from Georgia, but live with my family in Colorado now.
Great. And how did you first become interested in Castleman disease?
Well, my very first month of pediatric hemonc fellowship, I was consulted on a patient with low blood counts and fever, and many specialists had seen this patient and no one could figure out what was going on with him. He was very sick, and he ended up having multicentric Castleman's disease. And I became his primary fellow and helped with his diagnosis and then eventually with his therapy, and he is doing really well now. So that's how I first heard of Castleman's disease.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And then how were you introduced to the CDCN, and what role do you see them going forward in advancing research?
I was involved in writing an article that was published in the Journal of Pediatrics recently about this patient and then about Castleman's disease in the pediatric population, and then through that kind of got involved and hooked into the CDCN, and so got invited to this dinner. This is actually my first event with the CDCN.
Great. And are there any advances that you're looking forward to, or research maybe you're doing yourself on the disease that you're excited about in the
Well,
future?
I think Castleman's disease is so incredibly rare, but even more so in the pediatric population. And in the literature, there's really only a handful of cases ever reported of multicentric Castleman's disease in a pediatric patient. And so I think just more awareness and getting people to know what it is in the first place, and learning more about the disease and how it may be distinct from disease found in adults, I think is just the next step in the pediatric population.
Right. And what would you say to patients, or maybe parents of patients that are recently diagnosed?
That it is something that you won't be able to learn much about. There's just not much out there that doesn't pertain to adults or patients with HIV, and so it's a very unique patient population. And that there are going to be frustrations that come up with your friends and other people not understanding why your child is sick and not being able to explain it to them. But just rely on your doctors and rely on information that is reliable to learn more about it. And kids can get through it, and kids survive these things, and they do amazingly well.
And then how about other researchers or practitioners that want to get more involved?
I think it's a really interesting disease to research, and I think it's rich. It's definitely a rich field to learn more about. I personally don't do research in Castleman's disease. I do research in leukemia, but I think perhaps through the CDCN is a way to get involved with different methods of research and to learn more about the disease.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure.